Let's talk about this thing. We are off the record. I'm 8-Bit Esquire, and I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to my very first episode of On the Record, where I had a nice little chat with my good friend Mike Chi, owner of RetroTink LLC. We covered a lot of ground in that interview, and despite the conversation lasting over 2 hours, there were 2 takeaways from that video that I deeply regret. The first being my camera's terrible autofocus system, and the second being that I didn't bring up this little guy. This is a prototype of Mike Chi's still unreleased RetroTink 5X Direct, a miniaturized version of the FPGA-based RetroTink 5X analog to digital video scaler. But instead of having analog inputs, the 5X Direct has a hardwired plug designed for a specific console, outputting your retro gaming experience into crystal clear, high-definition digital video up to 1440p. I've had this prototype for, nearly 2 years now, and honestly, I forgot I even had the thing. I'm pretty sure even Mike forgot that he had sent me this thing as well, but nonetheless, the proverbial cat was out of the proverbial bag in November 2021 when he debuted the RetroTink 5X Direct over Twitter, or X, or whatever it is now. The RetroTink 5X Direct is a plug-and-play device giving you all of the core features of the RetroTink 5X in a sleek, compact form. It's an evolution of sorts of Mike's previous plug-and-play cable, the RAD2X, which was developed in a partnership with Retro Gaming Cables from the UK, giving you line-doubled 480p through an HDMI connection for all of your favorite 240p gaming consoles. Like the RAD2X, the Tink 5X Direct pulls the best video quality possible from your video game system, scaling it to a high-definition signal. Mike has designed 2 variants of the 5X Direct, one featuring a connection for Nintendo's multi-out connector used in the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and GameCube, and the other featuring Sony's AV connector used in both the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. It's found in the PlayStation 3 as well, but I'm not sure why you'd want an analog to digital scale when the PlayStation 3 is natively digital to digital, but who knows? If you're that weirdo out there who can find a use for it, please tell me about it in the comments. If your favorite console of choice is one or more of these platforms, it might make more sense to simply buy a 5X Direct rather than spend money on additional RGB or component cables or waste money on pricey digital modifications. The particular model I have here is the PlayStation variant, and I gotta admit, initially I was hoping Mike would have sent me the Nintendo variant, but you know, the more time I spend with this PlayStation model, the more I really began to appreciate just how versatile the 5X Direct is. So let's dig in. We're done wasting time on these less interesting RetroTink products. Let's focus on this unfortunately still unreleased little figurative and literal game changer, the RetroTink 5X Direct. Setting up the 5X Direct couldn't be easier. Simply plug the Sony multi-AV connector into either the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, a mini USB cable for power, and finally, an HDMI cable connected to your monitor. The shell is made of an attractive opaque black plastic and can be controlled by 2 small blue option and menu buttons on the side of the case. On the same side, you have an HDMI port, as well as the aforementioned mini USB port for power and firmware updates. If you are an early adopter of the RetroTink 5X, the menu controls for the 5X Direct will feel very familiar to you. In fact, the 5X Direct can be controlled by the very same remote control used for the RetroTink 5X. My particular model features firmware version 1.99, though I'm sure the FPGA can be flashed to the latest RetroTink 5X firmware. And within seconds, you're playing your favorite retro PlayStation games in crystal clear 1080p. As with the Tink 5X, the 5X Direct gives you the option to select 1080p fill, underscan, or overscan, emulating the CRT overscan experience. From there, you could select the optimal horizontal sampling rate, which will provide you with the sharpest image possible. With the Tink 5X, you have several consoles to choose from, but here you have a host of PlayStation exclusive sampling modes based upon the various horizontal resolutions found in PlayStation 1 games. Or, if you're lazy like I am and prefer to replicate the CRT experience, forget looking up the game's horizontal resolution, kick back, relax, and set the 5X Direct to generic 4:3, which still looks unbelievably sharp to my eye. Speaking of replicating the CRT experience, the 5X Direct features the same incredible scanline filters found in the RetroTink 5X. There are plenty of options if you're a fan of aperture grills, shadow masks, or slot masks, here for you to choose. No matter what you choose, these filters look amazing on 240p content. And if you're familiar with the PlayStation library, of course you're aware that there are games that frequently switch between 240p and 480i content. This resolution switch would wreak havoc on scalers like the OSSC or the FrameMeister, causing lengthy signal drops. The Tink 5X's triple buffer vertical sync setting corrected this signal drop, and the same feature is found here in the 5X Direct. As you can see here in Silent Hill, switching between 240p and the 480i menu screen is seamless. Speaking of 480i, let's talk about the PlayStation 2, a 480i powerhouse from the turn of the century. Even though you're limited to a fixed input like the Sony multi-AV connector, you have the option of selecting either RGB or component video, which means yes, you can select either RGB or YPB-PR when connecting your PlayStation 2. I know this video is focused on video games, but I must say the 5X Direct does a superb job in upscaling your favorite movies and TV shows on DVD. Yes, you can go ahead and judge me, but Gilmore Girls is very well written. The 5X Direct features the same deinterlacing options found within the Tink 5X, including motion adaptive deinterlacing. Here, like with the Tink 5X, this deinterlacing feature isn't hidden behind some weird DRM-based paywall, but instead is included right out of the box. And that's a good thing, because motion adaptive deinterlacing rules and looks phenomenal on a high-definition display. And of course, a few dozen PlayStation 2 games supported 480p, which look tremendous when scaled by the 5X Direct. Games like Tekken 4 here look like HD remasters of the PlayStation 2 original. Unfortunately, given I'm playing the Tink 5X Direct on firmware version 1.99, I'm missing out on the prescale function introduced in firmware 2.0 in the RetroTink 5X. With the prescaler, I could downscale 480p content like Super Street Fighter 2 here to 240p, apply scan lines, and make it look more like the arcade original. Like I said, I've had this beta tester for over 2 years, and I'm sure the firmware can be updated with features currently found in the RetroTink 5X. And while I'm on the topic of gripes, the only other real issue I had in testing the Tink 5X Direct is this snug fit of the AV cable on the device itself. It is brutally snug and takes a lot of effort to push in and wiggle out, which I never like doing to 20 or 30-year-old hardware. So, if either the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 is your favorite retro game console, you may want to hold off on spending cash on expensive scalers, mods, or cables, and instead opt for the RetroTink 5X Direct, which provides a feature-rich scaling solution requiring only an HDMI cable to your favorite high-definition display. The question, of course, is how much will it cost, and when will it ever come out? With the RetroTink 4K being released in the end of 2023, I suspect we won't see a retail release for the 5X Direct until sometime in 2024. As far as price goes, this is sheer speculation on my part, but I'd estimate this would sell at around $200, given you're essentially getting all of the Tink 5X's horsepower and features in a sleek, compact design. While that may seem steep in price, you're essentially getting a feature-rich, direct scaling solution for 2 consoles with just one purchase. And in the case of the Nintendo version, you're getting a compact scaler for 3 consoles with just one purchase, which, in my opinion, is a pretty enticing proposition. I think that's going to do it here for the RetroTink 5X Direct. Would you rather purchase one of these than modify your PlayStation? Is this something you'd be interested in buying, and what do you think the cost should be? Leave me a note in the comments. And as always, if you like this video, please leave me a like and subscribe to the channel. Episode 4 of On Trial is just finishing production, and you guys will not want to miss that one. Thanks for tuning in to this really short video. With all that said, I'm 8-Bit Esquire. Court is adjourned. We'll see you next time.